thank you all for having me, and appreciate being able to talk a little bit about the great things happening at Foothill De Anza. And so what I want to do is share a little bit about my background, and then talk a little bit about the two colleges, and then share with you just some of my thoughts about where I'd like to take Foothill De Anza into the future. And so I'm not going to go through every slide that I have prepared. Some slides pretty much are self-evident in terms of the information they provide. So with that, just a little bit about myself. So the first 18 years of my life, I grew up on 3 continents, spanning 4 countries and 4 U.S. states, from Asia to Europe and North America. And my father finally decided to retire out at Fort Lewis, Washington. So I graduated high school in the Olympia, Washington area, ended up doing all my formal education in Washington State. And I spent a little time in the United States Army, as well as most of my career being in the state of Washington. The last community college I served there was Shoreline Community College, where I served as the president, and then went on from there to the state of Arizona, where I was the chancellor of the Pima Community College District in the Tucson, Arizona area for about 10 years. So with that, that's just a little bit about myself. I'm excited about working in community colleges, as well as being able to be here in the local community. So I just want to highlight that with our 2 colleges, we have Lloyd Holmes, who serves as our president for the De Anza College campus. And then we have Christina Whalen, who serves as our president for the Foothill College campus. So let me just share a little bit about De Anza. And you probably all know this, but De Anza is one of the top transfer institutions in the state of California. In fact, many times it is the top transfer institution in the state of California. We're very proud of that. They're also one of the top career training programs in the area. And as you all know, the great thing about community colleges is we offer an affordable, cost-effective means for students and families to go through us onto either the UC or CSU systems, or other 4-year colleges, private and public universities. Next slide. So our focus is on university transfer, workforce education, and lifelong learning. And at both of our colleges, we offer a number of associate degrees, as well as academic certificates. We also do a lot in the dual enrollment space. We have a middle college at both of our colleges. And as you can see here, the majority of our students are part-time. And we are the best financial option for students, as you can see by this slide. And we offer just a number of outstanding programs, and you can see the list here and so much more. And here's just some clusters of our career training programs at De Anza College. So again, we offer a number of great options for students who want to explore direct employment opportunities. And this is the programs at Foothill College. Go ahead. And then most recently, the state has opened up the opportunity for its community colleges to offer baccalaureate degrees. And I'm very proud to say that we offer 3. We were one of the original pilots in the state of California for baccalaureate degrees. And now we have launched 3, as you can see here. Again, coming to us for that final 2 years of your baccalaureate journey is still more cost effective than going to either the CSU or UC system. And then we've been, we're one of the innovative institutions in the state of California. You see our partnerships with KCI in the semiconductor industry, as well as working in the autonomous vehicle space as well. And I mentioned dual enrollment and middle college earlier. which, by the way, is a great opportunity for our community, right? Come in, get as many of your college credits while you're still in high school. And the other thing about that is many of the students who do pursue that option go on to do much better than the students who do not decide to take some college level coursework while they're still in high school. And then we offer here, as you can see, the De Anza Promise and the Foothill Promise, which allows students who are eligible to get their tuition and fees free for the first 2 years of their education. And then we offer a number of non-credit programs as well. And I'll be glad to say a little more about non-credit later. And we see ourselves as, again, that lifelong learning aspect of things, offering many other community education options as well. And then I think many of you have had the opportunity to be out on our campuses, and we really want our campuses to be part of the community, allowing for the community to rent space and hold their community events, and et cetera. We've partnered with many of the area businesses for internships, for apprenticeship, and a number of other program areas where there's opportunity for our students to get the applied opportunities that will really strengthen their future.
Did you bring the?
I've got stuff.
And then we have the Hope Scholars Initiative that many of you have been so generous in contributing to. This really allows many of our students who have basic needs, whether it's access to food, access to housing, and the like, to continue their education and minimize the disruption because of their basic needs. And this has been a growing concern, not only here at Foothill and De Anza, but across the country for many community college students. So thank you all for the support of our Hope Initiative. And this is run out of our foundation under the leadership of Dennis. So what I'd like to do now is transition and talk about what I think is what I'd like to start helping to inform and shape the future direction of Foothill De Anza, and talk about just some of the challenges that we're going to be facing as community colleges, not only here in Santa Clara County, as well as across the state of California and across the country. So I think Andy Grove said it best when he wrote many years ago, as some of you are familiar with what I'm about to say, that there comes a time in the life of an organization where things are about to change. And when you reach this strategic inflection point, the question becomes, are you going to make that right turn? And this is very, very true for higher education. And so we're faced with the need to transition from an industrial era curve onto a digital era curve reality. And we're living right now in this liminal space, which I like to call the transition. If we go back to the former slide, Carla, and I think there's 6 gaps that higher, especially community colleges, really need to be focused on while we're in this liminal space and making that transition from that industrial model into the digital era. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'll highlight a couple of them. So on the technology front, Pat Gessinger penned an article a few years back, former CEO of VMware, now CEO of Intel, in which he talked about the 4 superpowers: and artificial intelligence, mobile technology, cloud computing, and the Internet of Things, and those being those enabling technologies that are driving this huge transformation in our economy and our society. And it's no different for us in the community college space. And as you all know, AI is going to be that transformative technology that's going to redefine the landscape, much similar in many ways to what the engine did coming out of the 19th century into the 20th century. And so you're going to see a greater emphasis around how do we not only deploy artificial intelligence in our own operations, but how do we help reskill and upskill the American workforce, especially here in our community as a result of that. And then the other piece that we put a lot of emphasis here, that the board is emphasizing, that we decarbonize our footprint, and get to zero emissions by 2035. So this focus on sustainability will be another big part of us making this transition from an industrial era model onto a digital era model. Why don't you go ahead, Carla, and skip to the next slide. So what are some of the features of an industrial era model? Well, back during that time period, demographics were stable. The learning format was pretty stable as well. It was fixed, set place, time, rigid course scheduling set by the institution. And the focus was primarily on degrees and credentials. Now, as we move into this digital era, you're going to see that, we're faced with declining populations, declining high school enrollment, and increasing diversity. The learning format is no longer going to be fixed. It's going to be more variable, anywhere, anytime, any format, in person, hybrid, online. And now the emphasis isn't just going to be on degrees and credentials. It's going to be, more holistic, lifelong learning, short-term credentials, stackable credentials. So you'll hear us talk more about this into the future, micro pathways. And the distinction between credit and non-credit is blurring. The focus is less about credit versus non-credit, but more about skills. And do you have the skills that are needed to be competitive in the workforce? So these are going to be some of the key features of a digital era reality. And with all of that said, you're going to see us continue to keep our focus on transferring students who want to transfer, as well as expanding opportunities for skilling, reskilling, upskilling, as I mentioned earlier, and maintain our position as the top transfer institution in the state of California, as well as being top institutions in the workforce development and lifelong learning spaces. So with that, I'd be glad to take any questions. Any questions?
Lee, can we go back a couple of slides? I have a question on the gaps slide.
Okay, please.
Yeah, that's good. Can you say a little bit more about each one of these? Maybe
Sure.
the next layer of detail.
Sure. So as you know, many, especially our American students, U.S. American students, are not competitive in the educational achievement level with our global partners, as well as if you look at locally, a lot of our students are not coming in at the math levels they need to be at for college level, college preparation, as well as even going into direct employment in some cases. The English levels are reading and writing are not the same levels. So that's why the educational achievement gap. And the state is essentially changed the way we approach especially developmental education. And by the way, that is also happening across the country. But nonetheless, math, English, and reading and writing are areas we have to continue to keep paying attention to. Global and diversity, the whole conversation around equity, et cetera, is more critical now than ever. And so that's what the focus on the global and diversity. And the other aspect of that is, it's just as real today as it was when this U.S. Senate coming out of its Abraham Lincoln study report, where it found that essentially us Americans, we know less about the rest of the world than the rest of the world knows about us. And that puts our national security, our economic security, and so many other things at risk. So we need to get more of our American students to know more about the rest of the world. And it's especially true when you were talking about the Middle East, talking about Asia and Africa, the non-Western countries. And then, of course, I made a little reference to the technology pieces already and the sustainability. What I didn't say about sustainability is another facet of that is the sustainability of our own organization. As the state has changed its funding formula, as the reality around what happened coming out of the Great Recession and its impact on our public institutions, we have to think about diversifying our revenue base, how to strengthen what we do, and become better at doing more with less. And that's a reality that we're going to have to work through. And then the skills gap, and a lot has been reported on that and written on that, but that's another important area that we play a major role in. As long as we're aligned with the sectors of the economy in which there's opportunity, I think you'll see us aligning more with the needs are of this region, and we've been doing that, but we need to continue to do a better job in that area. And the last one, I think the health and wellness became very, very apparent as we were moving through and out of the pandemic. And we need to pay better attention to our physical and mental health. And that's why all these 6 gaps are here.
Thanks, Lee. We also have a couple of hands raised, so I'll go there. Kitty?
Okay, there, I've got myself unmuted. So I have been a longtime student at De Anza College, and I am currently in the environmental studies program. And I was really excited about it when I found it, because a lot of the city council work touches on environmental issues, and this has been extremely helpful. But what I really like about it is that it is all online, the certificate program, and I can basically do my work any day of the week and just get it turned in by Sunday night, and I'm all set. So you mentioned something about the different formats of the classes. Can I expect to see more of this type of a program where we don't need to be in person? Thank you.
No, that's a great question. I think that's part of this world of transitioning from that industrial era to the digital era, right? Is understanding that more and more of our students are looking for that flexibility and opportunity to access education and in a way that is more convenient to their needs, not what's convenient to the organization's needs. So as the market starts to drive us in this direction, we're going to have to adapt to that. Now, I will say this, if the market is saying to us, you need more face-to-face, we need to also be able to pivot and be responsive to that. So I think it's going to be this blend as we move forward over time. We're not clear on what that mix is going to look like, but know that face-to-face is always going to be part of the equation, but so will online and providing that flexibility. But the other thing I will say, Kitty, and I think this is the hard part for those of us in higher education and community colleges, the locus of control will be shifting away from the colleges to the individual. The technology is now shifting things to where all of us who carry a mobile phone, I'll use it mobile phone as an example, we are carrying a college and university in our pockets. And we have to optimize our services and programs for that environment. And if we cannot do that, we will become less and less relevant to today's and tomorrow's learners. So there is a reality embedded in all of this, especially as we move through the balance of the decade and on and deeper into the century. Hopefully I answered your question.
Anything else, Kitty? No, she's on mute, so I'm going to assume she's complete. She's done. Oren, you were next.
Yeah. So Lee, you've been here a little while. What have been the biggest surprises in the new job or in moving here?
Well, so thanks for the question, Oren, and thank you for your support of De Anza and Foothill and being part of our De Anza commission. So it's I didn't I mean, I knew this, but I didn't really know this. It's the kind of the widening gap between the haves and the have-nots. I think it surprised me to learn that many of our employees cannot even live in our service district. And I worry about what the long-term implications are going to be regarding that. I think the other thing that surprised me was the large number of our students who also come to us from outside of our service district. And, you know, I'm so pleased that we get a huge amount of students from all over the Bay Area, right? That speaks volumes about the quality of the education at Foothill De Anza, but also it's worrisome in the sense that we're so dependent outside of our service district for our long-term sustainability. But then there's so many positives that I've also learned about the district and so I don't want to make it all sound negative, right? And so many of those positive things I made reference to earlier. And I have a board that's incredibly supportive, which is always a good place to start. And the people in this community, it's clear they love Foothill De Anza. And those are great places to really build off of.
Great.
Great. Next is Marianne.
Well, I'm really excited to hear about your views on the future of education at De Anza and Foothill. There's one area, though, that obviously from the League of Women Voters perspective is a key area that also has some gaps, and that is how we maintain and sustain our democracy, small d, and our democratic values. And how is the combination of Foothill De Anza addressing that?
Well, I think when you look at what we're known for and been so successful at, and that's the quality of our liberal arts education. And so I think continuing to strengthen that and make sure we emphasize the aspects that are rooted in what builds a democratic society, what builds a commitment to civics and the like are going to be increasingly important, because the technology is moving us in a direction that it's easy to lose ourselves. And it's through, I think, our liberal arts education that we reconnect our humanity and remember that it's about us as people, individually and collectively. And then how do we bring ourselves together and not allow things like equity, like technology, continue to divide us, right? And so I want to emphasize that we keep that, not lose that focus on the liberal arts and what it can do to bring us together in our collective humanity. Now, I will say, with all that said, but here's a growing reality that's happening. When you look at where a lot of the enrollment losses have happened across the country, it has been in the humanities. Mm-hmm. And so there's been this increasing piece around folks going to college because they want to get a good career, a good job, and less about what the whole liberal arts and the foundation in liberal arts really means. I really think long-term, that's where the leadership comes from, and the health and vitality of our nation comes from. So how do we blend these together in a way that we don't lose that aspect of things? So it's not only about a career, right? It's about learning what it means to be a good citizen, a good community member. So how do we make the liberal arts more workforce relevant and make more of the workforce more relevant to a just and fair society?
And since our primary role is education, we are excited to be able to work with you on that.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you on that too.
Thanks, Marianne. The next raised hand is Donna. Donna, I think you're still muted.
Hi, my name is Donna Austin, and my concern is history. I love history, and we learn so much from history, and it's so important that it be accurate. And I understand that there's concern about renaming one of the colleges. And we at the Historical Society and the museum, we have the original diaries of Padre Font, and I would ask that you read them, because he had a really good relation with the Indian natives. And I would like you to consider that when and history is really, we learn so much from it, but it has to be accurate and look at it from all aspects. And we're such a multicultural group, and our Hispanic heritage is important too. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
Well, but you raise an important point, Donna, and history is really critical to our success as people, as a civilization, and we should never lose sight of that and learn the lessons from that, and not forget. And so I will say this: no one has approached me formally asking that we consider renaming De Anza College. Okay. And I think it was a surprise to many of us, including, I shouldn't speak for my board members, but I believe they would say it was a surprise to them too, that's out there. Now, with that said, if someone comes to us formally, we will follow our appropriate processes to address things. And I don't know, maybe, Patrick, I hate to put you on the spot as the board president, but I don't know if you'd like to say something on related to this.
Sure. Thank you so much for putting me on that spot, Chancellor. I'll just say that, we've seen really sort of the design of this. We've seen Cabrillo College do a lot of outreach from the request of various community members there, and they're sort of taking a look at that. As Chancellor Lambert says, our main focus right now is serving the students that need help. And if there's a proposal that comes to us regarding the renaming, then we'll address it then, but it's not grounded in a groundswell of support right now. If that changes, then we'll take a look at it, but it doesn't seem to be coming from the community in a large swath demand right now. And so we're just going to be focused again on what we know how to do best, which is, educate our students and serve the community right now.
Yes. Thank you. That's great.
Don't believe everything you read.
Right? All right. Thank you, Patrick and Donna. Lee, did you have anything else you want to say? Or if anybody else has any questions for Lee that have come up during this last part of the discussion?
If there's no other questions or comments, I just want to say, thank you all for inviting me to speak today. And I want to reach out and connect with as many folks in the community as possible. So please don't hesitate to reach out to Carla and for us to make that happen. You'll see me be out and about in the community more and more the more time I'm here. So I look forward to coming to future chamber meetings, as well as many other events here in Cupertino and throughout our region. So thank you for having me.